Okay, so we're going to start down on the floor. Uh, just in this 90-90 position here. So sitting with one hip turned in, one hip turned out. So this morning we're really just going to take a little bit of time and get warmed up, get your lower body warmed up. Especially because it's the morning and we're probably going to be in some pretty big ranges here. So we'll definitely be in some like deep knee bend stuff and working from there. But just sitting tall here, let's switch sides. Sitting tall, trying to get both butt cheeks on the ground. Some people have no problem with this. I'm not one of them. Switch back to the original side here. So from here, we're going to go hands in front, and we're just going to kind of work your chest out over that front knee, just coming up and down. So you'll be stretching a little bit and using it a little bit. So when you get down here, it's a stretch, and then kind of, if you need to use fingertips to help you come back up. Okay, if you can go hands behind your back, we go forward and back. Okay, let's switch sides, do the same thing on the other side. So we're just leaning forward and back. Again, just kind of using this as a stretch, using it as a warm up for the muscles too. And good, let's go back to the original side. This time we're going to be turning away from your back leg. Then we come back to middle. Turn away, kind of walk your hands behind you. Coming back to the middle. So just like you're turning to look behind you. One more time. And let's switch sides. Turning back. So remember, the reason we work on hip mobility quite a bit these days is because if your hip mobility starts to go, your body will get mobility from somewhere else. And usually that means your low back. So if your hips get really tight, your low back starts to move more than it should. That's when low back problems can develop. And that'll derail you for sure. All right, let's go back to the original side. So now we're gonna shift your weight forward, but instead of leaning and putting your chest over your front knee, we're just gonna come up and back down. Use a hand or use fingertips if you need to as you're warming up. So we'll just come up and back down. Let's do 5 of these on each side. And we switch. And we'll just come up, rising up. You may find that you're better on one side than the other. I am for sure. So we're working on hip stability here. So mobility and stability kind of go together. Let's go back to the first side. So same thing, except now we're going to come up to one knee. So we're going to come up, rising up. Then this back leg is going to come forward, and we want to try to come to this half kneeling position with as much control as possible. All right, and then you're going to take this leg, put your knee right back by your foot, and we're back down into this position. So let's do 5 of those. So we can kind of take our time with it here. Your back foot, your back knee is going to become your front knee. Then it goes right back in the back. And just, like as I'm working through this, as I'm feeling through this, I noticed like in the beginning, I was pretty stiff and tight and not really able to do it. But now I'm feeling like I'm dialed in a little bit more. Flexibility has improved just within the session here. A lot of times flexibility is just not necessarily like your muscles are tight. It's that you don't have the stability in those joints. So your body won't let you go through that movement because it feels unsafe. So sometimes working on this stability improves your flexibility too. And on your last one here, you can go ahead and stay on one knee. Good. So we're staying on one knee here. Let's just get a hip flexor stretch. So we're going to push forward and then push out to the side. So again, just really opening up your hips here. Let's switch knees. Remember, as you push out to the side, you're going to keep your belly button facing the same direction as you did when you pushed straight forward. So you're not turning to face your knee, you're going to be facing straight forward. All right, good. So from here, you're going to just be kind of sitting on one heel, right? So we're sitting here. This is full knee flexion. So we go to 2 knees then, and we switch sides. And sitting back on your heel. So when you sit back on your heel, this shin's going to be kind of straight up and down. Okay, so if you're not a full knee flexion person, sometimes people get either like a lot of like arthritis type pain or just kind of a general grinding of your knee if you have it in full flexion like this, like if you have the back of your leg on your calf. If you're one of those people, just hinge back and come back up to standing. You don't have to sit all the way down on your heel. So we're just kind of alternating between those. And then we'll try one other thing with that. Okay, so from here, now instead of like coming up and changing sides, right? So let's say, let's see, how should I face this way? So if I'm sitting here, sorry, I need to sit. Okay, so if I'm sitting here, I'm gonna have my foot almost underneath me. I'm just gonna take this knee to the ground and spin on kind of on the balls of your feet. So it's a little bit kind of shorter stance. So let's say you are playing with a group of kids and you're over here with this group and then this group wants your attention. So you're just going to be able to spin, tap your knee to the floor. All right, we're keeping everything pretty much under control as you go. Good. So when you get, after you spin, you should be kind of rested or seated on your heel. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead, just that half kneeling position again. All right, we're just going to go through some sort of warm-up lunges here. We want to be able to just to be able to stand up off the ground, and then we're going to lunge back, tap the other knee. So we're just going to be standing up here, alternating which leg steps back. And one more lunge. Good. So typically, like one of the best things I think we do in this class when we're in the gym is to balance. So a lot of times, I don't know, maybe you have something to balance on. Maybe you have like a 2x4 laying around or something. If not, it's not a big deal because you can just kind of pretend and use the floor, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to combine that squatting, and we're going to do some reaching too. So what'll happen is you'll just take a step forward. Your feet will be in line as though they're on a balance beam. Right, you're going to squat down, then you're going to reach as far as you can out to one side. Reach as far out to the other side as you can. We come back up, take a step forward, down, like you're just resting, squatting on the back of that, on your back heel, right? So you look like this, seated on the back of your heel, your toes curled under. Then you're going to reach as far as you can, reach as far as you can. We're going to line your feet up like you're on a balance beam. So we're kind of combining balance, combining the balance. Even if you're not actually balancing on something, we can line things up so your base of support is really small or narrow. So when you have that narrow base of support, then you start reaching, it's going to change your center of gravity, center of mass. So you've got to adjust for that. And good. Okay. All right. So let's get into a 10-minute circuit here. We're going to do a couple of things. We're going to go over and under. So for this one, you got to kind of pretend that you have stuff to step over and under because most people don't have that stuff around. But what we want is keeping your hips nice and solid. So my upper body's nice and solid. Upper body's nice and solid. So we step up and over like you're stepping over, we usually say into the bathtub, right? And then to go back, you're going to slide down and under like you're ducking in to get into the crawl space. So we just go over and then under. Okay, we're going to do that 4 times. So you'll do that circle 4 times, and then you'll go under the other way and over the other way. Okay, just make sure on the over, a lot of times people will like do a good job of taking this leg over and then they just bring their feet together like that. Make sure we're stepping over with both sides. Okay, and that should be under full control that whole time. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2, we're gonna do like a balance beam lunge. So you'll step forward. You know, if you can draw or make a mark on the carpet, or if you even have something, that would be good too. But we're just going to step forward. It's just going to be a really narrow base, almost so that your heel touches your knee touches your heel. Right. So if you can step forward, then we'll walk. If you don't have the room to step forward, you're going to push right back to where you came from, and we'll alternate with those. Okay. So that one we want really narrow base so that your feet line up. It's less of a strength type lunge, and it's more of a um, balance, a balance kind of lunge. Okay, that's that. And then so the last one is going to be tripod transition. We'll do 4 each. Okay, so it's just like if you were doing a Turkish get up, you'd have the weight up here, and you'd be moving your foot back and forth. So we plant opposites. So we plant your left leg, right hand, reach through, tap your heel, reach through, tap your toe. Right, so we want belly button facing the ceiling, belly button facing the floor. So it's just those three exercises we're going to go through for 10 minutes. Okay. So remember, up and over and under, so 4 times each, the balance lunge, and tripod transition. And that's all for the day. All right, ready? And here we go. If you have any questions, guys, make sure to shout them out. Remember, today is more about moving really well than needing to get super out of breath and heart rate through the roof. So remember the numbers are 4. So the numbers are pretty much 4s. So we're going 4 each direction here. Think about as you're bringing your knee up for this over under, you shouldn't be leaning back. Try to keep your body nice and tall, upper body nice and tall and quiet. And that lunge is going to be just a little bit shorter. Remember that position we ended up in on the beam? We're reaching, you can add a reach at the end if you want a little challenge. But we're just really focusing on keeping that really narrow base. And taking a little bit shorter step. So usually we tell you to make this some space in between your knee and your heel. Here we're doing things just a little bit different. We're about 3 minutes in here. 3 minutes out of 10. When you're sliding under, try to get your hips as low as you can. with the lunges, if there's any knee issues or anything like that, or you feel like it's hard or straining your knee, just make it a little bit bigger step. That should take care of some of that. Five minutes in, 5 minutes to go. So all of these movements should be controlled to the point where if somebody told you to stop and go back the other direction at any point, you'd be able to, right? So we want full control of the movement. So that's part of the challenge, is that having the balance and the stability to be able to stop at any point and go back to where you were coming from. Cool. Remember, on the tripod transition, we're trying to get your belly button to face the floor. So you're really going to reach far back behind you. Try to reach, when you're reaching with your foot, try to reach your heel as far out in front of you as you can, and reach as far back and tap your toe as you can. Three minutes left. I didn't do it on purpose. No. You might find that as you get more tired, the balance part gets a little tougher. That's why on a day like this, it's really more important to focus on being smooth and efficient with the movement rather than really like trying to build fitness. You can move in nice and smooth here. Minute and 15 left. Minute and 15 seconds left. 30 seconds. Fifteen seconds left. Three, two, one, and that's a wrap. Okay, so sometimes it's important to have days like this just to kind of dial everything back in. I know I always feel better ending these classes than starting. Everything just seems to be dialed in a little bit more. Like for example, the tripod transition in the beginning just felt like a lot of effort, but at the end, it felt like more like my body was like working as one part or one big kind of unit. So it's important to have days like this just to get everything sort of re-dialed in. So yeah, if you want to get outside for a run today, it looks like it's going to be a nice one, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, guys. We'll see you.